Hey friends, and welcome to this new video. Today we return to the world of Poppy Playtime to analyze all the characters who survived the previous chapters. In this video we will discover who survived and what clues these survivors could give us about Chapter 5. In the past chapters we have always faced mini-bosses, and each time one survives. This detail does not seem random, but could be directly connected to the main story and the events of the next chapter. Every surviving mini-boss could have a hidden role, leave important references, or influence what will happen. We will analyze each surviving character, examining details, contests, and behaviors that could foreshadow future events. And we will try to theorize what happened to them. Maybe they will come back in Chapter 5. Before we start, remember to give this video a big like if you enjoy Poppy Playtime theories and news, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all the latest exclusive analyses. Get ready, because we will face detailed analyses, hidden connections, and incredible theories. Every surviving character has something to reveal, and today we will uncover everything there is to know about them and Chapter 5. Now, let's start by seeing who the survivors are and what secrets they could bring to the next chapter. Now let's see which characters have managed to survive in the previous chapters. As we know very well, in each chapter there is always an antagonist who manages to escape and survive, and this is never random. Let's analyze them one by one. Let's start with Chapter 1. Here the character in question is Huggy Wuggy. We all remember the ending. We make him fall into the void, and for a moment we think we have defeated him for good. But the reality is very different. After that fall, we discovered that Huggy Wuggy is still alive. And not only that, in the Chapter 4 ending, he appears again, confirming that he managed to survive everything. So as for Huggy Wuggy, we already have an official confirmation. He will return in Chapter 5, and we can expect him to have an important role in the story that awaits us. Moving on to Chapter 2. Here the survivor is PJ Paga Pillar. After our escape, we never defeated him, and this is crucial. In fact, Mummy Longlegs had the habit of punishing the mini-bosses we managed to defeat. But with PJ Paga Pillar, she didn't have time to intervene. We escaped before she could act, and so PJ Paga Pillar was left free. This detail, which might seem small at first, tells us a lot about the continuity of the story. He could also have a role, or at least a reference, in Chapter 5. In Chapter 3, the survivor is Dog Day. At first, he was not really an antagonist, but the situation changes completely when the mini smiling critters enter him and take control of his mind. From that moment, Dog Day becomes a formidable enemy. During the chapter, we managed to escape from him, but we did not defeat him, so we can be sure he is still alive. This leaves a lot of room for theories about his possible return or how his story might connect to the events of Chapter 5. Finally, we arrive at Chapter 4, where the survivor is a slightly bigger version of Baba Chops. Here too, the situation is similar. We escaped without being able to eliminate her. This confirms that she is still alive and could have a role, or at least some references, in the next chapter. So, if we look closely, we can notice a very interesting pattern. Each chapter leaves us with a surviving mini-boss, and this does not seem to be random. Each survivor could have direct connections to the story of Chapter 5, or be the seed of future events we still don't know about. Every detail, every escape, and every unfinished battle could have hidden meanings, and today we are going to try to analyze them all, one by one. So, what does all of this mean? Could these characters really return in Chapter 5 or not? The truth is, if we look closely, the survival of each of them is never random. In Poppy Playtime, every detail, every choice, and every event always has a very specific reason. Nothing is left to chance, and this also applies to the mini-bosses that survived the previous chapters. If Huggy Wuggy, PJ Paga Pillar, Dog Day, and Baba Chops are still alive, it means that there is something unfinished in their story. There is an open issue, a narrative thread that has not been resolved, and it will probably be connected to the events of Chapter 5. This leads us to a very important consideration. Who is controlling all of this? And this is where the prototype comes into play. This character seems to have total awareness. It monitors everything, knows every single step we took in the previous chapters, and knows how we interacted with the other characters. It is not hard to imagine that the prototype is planning everything in minute detail. It could have decided to bring these survivors into the Chapter 5 laboratory, not just to show them to us, but to use them as tools for a precise goal. to eliminate the player once and for all. This opens up truly chilling scenarios. If these characters return, it will no longer be just a simple chase or battle we can escape from. We might have to face them again, but this time the consequences could be much more serious. Perhaps we will have to defeat them definitively, finally resolving the issue left open in the previous chapters. Moreover, the fact that each surviving mini-boss is connected to specific past events suggests that Chapter 5 could have a much more complex and intertwined narrative structure than we have seen so far. Each survivor could have a precise role in the story, and every action we take in the game could have important consequences on the fate of these characters and on our own path in the laboratory. So, get ready. It's not just about characters coming back. However, this is a theory. Now let's move on to another really interesting and, I must say, slightly disturbing theory. In this hypothesis, all the surviving characters, except Huggy Wuggy, might have already met a grim fate, even if we haven't realized it until now. It may seem contradictory, but if we think about it carefully, it all makes sense. The prototype is a character who knows every single step of the player and has almost total control over the lab and the mascots that inhabit it. According to this theory, the surviving mini-bosses could have been secretly defeated by the prototype at times we didn't witness. And we know very well that the prototype, after eliminating a mascot, has the ability to absorb their characteristics, turning them into a part of himself. This means these characters could still be present in Chapter 5, but not as we knew them before. They would have become components of the prototype himself. In other words, their apparent survival could be just an illusion, and we might face them in a completely different form, under the control of the prototype. Of course, in this theory, I have excluded Huggy Wuggy. He is a special case. We already know for sure that he will be alive in Chapter 5 because we saw him in the final scene of Chapter 4. Moreover, the official Steam page confirmed that in the new chapter we will have to face him, and that there will be moments where we will have to run away from him. So Huggy Wuggy cannot have become part of the prototype, and this makes him a key element in the future story. Our encounter with him will be direct and dangerous, just as we expected. For all the other characters, however, the situation could be completely different. PJ Pug, a pillar, Dog Day, and Baba Chops could be absorbed by the prototype, and each of their actions or characteristics could have been incorporated into him, making him even more powerful and unpredictable. This opens up really disturbing scenarios. In Chapter 5, we wouldn't simply be facing the previous survivors, but a version of the prototype that contains pieces of each of them, with powers, movements, and traits taken from the original mascots. In short, this theory adds a much deeper level of tension and mystery. Each survivor might have already undergone a hidden transformation, and Chapter 5 could surprise us with a more complex and terrifying version of the prototype, ready to use against us everything it has absorbed from the mini-bosses of previous chapters. Thank you so much for watching the video until the end. You are amazing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.